This week's channel message from the angels and the mother of creation is a super deep dive into what you need to know about the new earth. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for sharing these messages with me. They just seem to get deeper and deeper. I'm so glad that we are able to talk about them as a community. And for those of you who are welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance. And then from that state, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go. I go a little higher, I connect, and then messages, information, and healing come through. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. And the angels have been giving us, and with the mother of creation, they've been giving us a deeper and deeper understanding of the shift in consciousness that we're going through, helping us understand the really practical information about what it is that, like what we're going to feel as we shift, like what we should do, very, very practical information, but then also the really deep sort of metaphysical concepts about what is this and who are we and what are we creating. This message is a little of both. And I called it What You Need to Know because the message is it is deep and profound, but said in such a simple way that I feel like my own understanding of how we are creating this new reality just multiplied exponentially. So the message is really talking about how in the new reality that there are still multiple potentials for New Earth, that it's not nailed down, that there are, let's call it 10 different potentials. And the one that will end up getting fleshed out is there that we won't know until we choose. And then when we get there, then it becomes. And the angels have told us in one of our past messages that when we go through the shift in consciousness, when the flash of light comes, which I've talked about in many of my previous videos, which is a solar energy coming to the planet and soon, as the angels say, and it will be the moment we look back on and say everything changed. It has not happened yet. And when that happens, we will go through this shift, which is they've also given us deep, deep, deep information about that. And I will show you where you can get that information. That once we go through it, then we will come out on the other side and it will be like we have brain fog and we will think that we're kind of groggy and it's like, oh, like waking up after a bender. But in fact, it will be foggy because the new reality does not fully exist yet. And we are in the process. We are the reality creator. And this is fascinating because it is a little bit like the new reality is it's a new era for humanity. And I think of it after listening to this message, the way I'm understanding it is that it's a little bit like what we think of the Big Bang Theory, is that 1 minute there is nothing, right? There is just emptiness. There is all of the nothing. And then the minute something exists, boom, it all exists. And so that is true about the universe, right? It's true about the universe and is also true about, if that is like what the divine creates universally, the divine is the thing, the one thing that exists by itself, and then boom, creates everything. We as humanity become the one thing that exists in our universe, which is our world. And then boom, we create the new reality in this new era. So it's like we're kind of moving from one universe to the next. If we were God, we would be like moving from the old universe to the new universe. But universe for us is our world, is the reality that we live in. So anyways, it is a fascinating message talking about, they give us very specifically, they tell us here are 3 of the potential realities and what they are and what they're based on. They tell us which things are nailed down, like what are the things that are absolutely going to happen, which is really cool. So they say these are the things you can absolutely count on. These are the things that are still undetermined. Yeah, so you guys are going to love it. It's a fascinating message. And for those of you who have not caught all the old messages, it can be a lot to go through all the old YouTube videos. So I have a book, yay, that just came out, and many of you have already gotten the book, and thank you so much, you guys, for your beautiful reviews. I'm so grateful. But if you don't want to find out what is the flash of light, if this is new to you, this book is now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and there are some copycats out there. So make sure you check who the author is and that it's me, that it's not a phony one, because there's some people who are just, and anyways, just make sure if you want this book you're making it, that you get the right book and not, there's some phony workbooks and stuff that I did not write. So anyways, just to be aware, but it does go through in depth and gives you every message about the flash of light, about all the events that are coming, all grouped together so you can easily catch up. And there are QR codes linking every message to the correct video on YouTube. So anyways, that's available for you if you want it. Also, for those of you who are in peace bathing, quick reminder that I know we normally have it on the third Sunday. You guys know I had to move it because I was going to be out of town. Peace bathing is this Sunday. So if you are one of our peace bathers, which is our monthly healing experience that we have together, that is this Sunday, 10 a.m. You'll have a reminder in your inbox. And if you want to join us, not too late, you can still join us on my website, Peace Bathing. It's a once a month beautiful meditation, healing meditation with the angels. They bring us into the frequency of peace, and it helps us to acclimate to the shifting energies of this enormous change that we are going through. So it's a beautiful experience, and you can find out all about it on my website. All right, you guys, I hope you love the message.
Beginning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We are here. We begin speaking to you about the circumstances where you are and how you are transforming. The new nows of tomorrow have already been from where we stand, and all things open upon themselves already seen. Therefore, the new is not so new from our perspective. And yet all things surprise us. All things are revealed to us. In the morrow of your understanding, there shall be more to awaken than just your soul. There shall be everywhere and everything a new scent and savor. There shall be an understanding of your soul in the temperance of a new world. All of these spectacles were never seen before. All of these cannot commence until you have begun in that territory of newness. All that is revealed through you now has long been progressing in this world. All that you see, all that has been found, has been known within the context of humanity as it has loved and lost its way through its own memories. In the new reality that stirs within your soul, the bountiful presence and present of what shall become can only be flavored by yourselves once you have become what is. Once you have settled the selves into tomorrow, the new reality shall take on what you allow, what you shall draw forward into presence. What we have seen in the many creations of your own expression are many differing and very pleasant realities, all of which have potential, all of which could form, but close in upon the now in their own lack of information. For the deciding is in the turning. The decisions must flow forward from you. In the potency of several tomorrows, you have created a world which justifies itself by truth. And this is one flavor of constancy that riddles the new you. In another elegance of your expression, there is the beautiful form of surrendering, which allows the self to flow in harmony with what is. And yet a third instance of your incarnating, you come into presence through an obstacleless environment of present moment where only your dialogue within the soul can come into focus. Each of these realities are very real in the context of what is possible and what is positive for yourselves. And yet each sequential harmonious expression depends upon the realities that form within you. Thus, not all can be profoundly settled in the dialogues that are coming. They are collapsible within a construct that does not yet contain you. We say that what is forming from inside you for the environment of your own expression, For reality as you will see it shall come from the presence of all who are received within that experience of living. It shall be a modicum of your own potential, and you shall expound upon this. You shall create a dialogue within that context, and your presence shall be magnified within it. As we are held within these contexts of potential future, we see yourselves in actuality as you shall be. We see you within the potency of these fruitions, and none are better, none are worse, none should be foregone, none should be advised. For your own expression is what serves. Should you find peace, and will it serve you? We say yes. Should you find the elegance of your own retreat from the dialogues of impassioned certitude and polarity, we say yes. And all that shall flow forward shall bring you into a greater harmonious understanding of one another and with the earth. And these truths are serene and experienced within each possible future. The meaning of self, as it shall come to mean, comes into the span of your own hesitation. What shall be brought forward for completion? What shall you work with? Where shall you stumble and find your own gaps? Here is what will be created. Here is where you shall become again. And these cannot be chosen for you. They are for the chooser. You become what is needed most for self, for soul, for all that is. You become a fruition of your own journey and journey again upon the precipice of knowledge that you have gathered. You call to you what is potential, what is matter, what is constancy to form a world around you. And within it, you shall become what is. Separation has been your journey. Separation has been the solidity of matter until now. This is what has been the characteristic most explored within these frequencies within which you have lived. You are now moving beyond this into a frequency not yet determined. But for you, all has gathered to witness. All has come to become with you. All will make itself renewed through you. All will become again within the certitude of your own formation. And a world will be born into the structure of union that is most needed for yourselves. We wish for you to hold in the heat of this environment, in the choosing time, the sense of yourselves as limitless. The potency of your dialogue within your soul must take precedence. Draw to yourself that intuitive guide, the sense of your own knowledge as presence. Become in tune with what moves through you. This is your guide. This is and shall ever be your own matter. What is the formation within you? It is your soul you can trust. Bringing this dialogue into presence shall be what conforms a reality into the frequency of what is above, of what is more, of what is without hesitation. The constancy of your inner union is formed within the dialogue of expression that heralds your own internal truths, the agreement between all parts of self within you. And in the space of that communion, the elegance of your own internal, uninterrupted communion with self can begin. And this shall herald in the new foray of existence. But upon the concentration of disfigurement, which has been your nature, you can become distracted again. Fear nothing. You will not be lost. Only say to the self, say to the soul, I am presence within, and be guided once more into your own intuitive knowledge. Find your heart, and within it the gateway, which draws you upward into the voice of your own spoken soul. And here your dialogue shall begin. You have been in a fettered existence within which the inner turmoil into which you were drawn came as a result of your separation from what is love with self. In the new world, in the new earth, your soul becomes again through you. And this shall change what is as you become unbound from the forces which have bound you into separation. Whew, okay. How about that one? All right. I don't know about you guys, but this one, I took time with this one. I have notes upon notes. I have so many notes. I had to have a separate notepad of notes. That's how many notes I had on this one. I had notes upon notes. Yeah, it is. This one was deep, you guys, really deep. And it takes pulling apart. In some ways, it sounds so simple. Like I remember as it was coming through, it was like, oh, this is so clear. And then I read it, I'm like, oh, there's so much in this. Yeah, it's really, really deep. And amazing, absolutely amazing. So you guys, so the gist of it is this idea that, and like they said before, they've told us in past messages that when we go through the flash of light and we enter the new reality, we will go through a period where we will feel like we have brain fog, and we'll come to the new reality and we'll feel like nothing is clear. And it's not because we have brain fog, it's because the new reality is not yet clear and it has to evolve from inside of us. So that is a key thing to understand, that we are the reality creators. And until we get there, the reality cannot be fully created. And what they're telling us here is there are some themes that as they can see all potentialities, the angels see everything at once, they see all potentials. So they can see, let's just say for ease of discussion, let's say there are 10 possible realities which we are currently open to, that are currently possible in terms of what the new earth is going to be like. And they can say among all 10 have these three things in common. And so we know for a fact that it will be like this in these three ways. But there could be 10 things that are different about them. And so they don't know which one is going to be until we get there. And they don't know until we get into it what the next expression of it will be. How will this potential form itself? What will it look like? You know, it's sort of like looking at a baby at birth and you're like, wow, I see all your potential, but who are you going to become, and what experiences are going to shape you, and what choices are you going to make, and what is your life going to look like? And, you know, as someone goes through life, you get a better picture of things, but as a newborn, it's really just pure potential. It's just like, okay, you got some certain things that I know are going to always be true. You know, I remember when my son was born, and I remember the first time we were really alone, and I sat up in my hospital bed and I put him on my knees and I just looked at his little face, and I tried like just to emblazon, of course, like being like the weird paranoid mom. I'm like, if he's ever stolen, I will remember his face. You know, like paranoid mom, hormones happening for sure. But but I was looking at his little bone structure in his face and like memorizing, you know, like the shape of his cheekbones, and like looking at this little, and I remember having a conversation saying like, we're on this journey together, and I'm gonna learn who you are, and I can't wait to get to learn about you. And it's really funny because sometimes he's all grown up now, like he's a big boy. He's all grown up. And but sometimes I look at him and I see that same bone structure in his face. I'm like, I would still be able to find you. I still find you even if you were lost. So yeah. So that's the general idea behind this message, is we create our reality from that. Like we have these 10 newborns that could develop into 10 different lives. And we won't know what that life is going to be until we choose, until we get into it and we start to define it and have experiences, and we become the new reality, right? So amazing. Yeah. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to call this message yet. I'll figure it out. But let's go through it piece by piece, and that's the best way I think to talk it through, because there's just a lot here, and it's dense and it's amazing, because it gives us I think a very cosmic understanding of what we are going through and how we work. I think this is the biggest thing, is how we work as creators. What is it that we actually do, and how is it that we experience being alive? So, so the first paragraph, they say, and they usually broadcast what it's going to be about in the first paragraph. They say, we begin speaking to you about the circumstances where you are and how you are transforming. The new nows of tomorrow have already been from where we stand, and all things open upon themselves already seen. So basically they're saying, like, yep, they can see all potentials, all futures. They know everything that's knowable, they know. And then they say, therefore, the new is not so new from our perspective. That's angel humor, just in case you were wondering. That is them being funny. And then they say, and yet all things surprise us. All things are revealed to us. So this seems like they're saying two things that are opposite in the same sentence, right? So this is the game that they're playing. They're saying, okay, on one hand, yes, we see all futures. So what would have to be in order for this sentence to be true, for the paragraph to be true? It would have to be that if they can see all futures and they can see everything that is, but yet everything still surprised them, that means that there's a lot of things that do not yet exist. That's the only thing that can surprise them, is stuff that doesn't yet exist. So if you read that through, that's how those two things can agree. They see everything that is, and they are surprised by what is not yet become, right? So that's how we can understand that paragraph. So then next paragraph, they say, in the morrow of your understanding, which is like tomorrow, in the new now, in other words, in the new reality, there shall be more to awaken than just your soul. There shall be everywhere and everything a new scent and savor. And savor means like a characteristic and pleasant taste, a flavor. But to savor something, which is why I think they chose it, is to intensely focus your attention on the positive aspects of something. It's like to really be focused on like how great something is. So these are new things that we're meant to just really take in and enjoy and love. This is they're giving us this about our new reality, right? There shall be everywhere and everything, things to see, to smell, to taste, to experience, to love about our new experience. So they're saying it's going to be awesome, in other words. There shall be an understanding of your soul in the temperance of a new world. So beautiful choice of words here. So the understanding ourselves in the temperance of a new world. Temperance is about moderation in action, thought, or feeling. So temperance is restraint, but temperance, moderation. So think about it. It's moderation in our expression. What that means is moderation is avoiding extremes. So to moderate something, to be moderate, is to be in the middle, which is what we're getting away from polarity, right? We're getting away from extremes. So temperance is a way of saying we're expressing ourselves in temperance. We're expressing ourselves away from polarity. We are leaving, and that's a big thing about what's happening in the shift in consciousness, is we are moving away from separation, which is polarity, which is the craziness we've been going through, which has been like more and more and more and more extreme, right? And we're moving into a place of unity. So temperance, where we're kind of going to the middle of where we all agree, where we can all come together, where we can find each other within the context of love. So all of these spectacles were never seen before. All of these cannot commence until you have begun in that territory of newness. So all of these spectacles, in other words, all the great things we're meant to savor, all the awesome stuff we're going to experience in this move towards temperance as opposed to polarity, that cannot start until we are there, until we have begun, until we get there. So then they go on to say in the next paragraph, all that is revealed through you now in the current reality this is a fascinating paragraph, by the way, you guys. All that is revealed through you now has long been progressing in this world. All that you see, all that has been found, has been known within the context of humanity as it has loved and lost its way through its own memories. So this just got my mind whirring, because so what it tells me is that, say, for example, that back when we began this era that we're currently in, which has been through the process of, we've been in this process of exploring polarity and all this kind of stuff, that there were certain stories that we wanted to explore. And those stories came in sort of, who knows, at one point, very probably in the very beginning when we started this era, who knows when the era started, but the era that we, humanity is currently living, we started it with certain questions or stories about ourselves. So imagine, it's a little bit like imagine this life that we are in right now is like all of Earth is one soap opera. And there was certain storylines. If you guys have ever watched a soap opera, and I'm not fluent on soap operas, I can't. So forgive me if I'm underselling them. But in soap operas, my understanding is that there are certain storylines that they just play out over and over and over again. That right now it's like these two people are in love, and then this person is fighting, or this person is like angry or jealous, and then they all change places, and now these people are together, and this person is jealous, and this person is fighting, and then so it's like that, and they just change players, and okay, same dance, different music, and they just rotate around, and everybody changes places, and they all try out, but it's basically the same stories. That is what they're saying right here. That we're living one big soap opera, and we have been for the history of humanity. That, which is why we can say like the stories of like that, from the past can be relatable to us now, because it's this, and we call that human. We say this is just the human experience. No, this has been the experience of this era that we've been living through. And they say it has been that it has been found through the context of the wait, what is it here? I love this part where they say it is all is that is revealed to you now. To you now, or through you now, has long been progressing in this world. All that you see, all that has been found, has been known within the context of humanity as it has loved and lost its way through its own memories. So in other words, it has been like, because we have these memories of these stories, it's sort of like we call it karma. We just keep replaying them. We have these, and we grow through the context of these stories. We each get to play out our own storyline. But it's fascinating to me, this idea that it's all about memory. The emphasis here is on memory. And this then gets my mind going to how they talk about in this reality that we're living in right now, most of our consciousness, our conscious awareness, is living either in the past or the future. We're living thinking about what was or thinking about what will be, and we only put a little bit of ourselves in the present moment. So it's about, we've been living in our memories, replaying stories and becoming part of stories and narratives that have been played out a million times before, except now we get to do it as we get to play a different role, a different life, a different angle. Then when we get to the new reality, major changes, we are no longer playing from our memories anymore. We are playing from the present moment. So this is a major shift that we're going through. So it's a beautiful way, of course, incredibly poetic way of describing one of the core aspects of the shift in consciousness that we're going through. So we are moving away from this context where humanity has, as it has loved and lost its way through its own memories. Wow, 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 right? Just blew my mind. Okay. Then they go on to say, in the new reality that stirs within your soul, the bountiful presence and present of what shall become can only be flavored by yourselves once you have become what is. So once again, they're saying it can't happen until you get there, until we get there, right? All right. Then they go on to say, next paragraph. And they say, once you have settled the selves into tomorrow, the new reality shall take on what you allow, what you shall draw forward into presence. What we have seen in the many creations of your own expression are many differing and very pleasant realities, all of which have potential. So in other words, they're saying that they, angels and Mother of Creation, can see all potential futures, right? They can see every possibility that's coming. And so they're telling us there are still several different potential outcomes in terms of what the new reality will be, that it's not nailed down. There's certain elements that are nailed down, but there's still major chunks that have not yet been defined. That's what they're saying. They're saying many pleasant, they're always careful to tell us many pleasant realities worth savoring, beautiful, wonderful, right? They're saying it's all great, like it's all good things. It's just which thing off the dessert menu are you going to order? So they say all of which could form, but close in, I would say, I love this part, all of which could form, but close in upon the now in their own lack of information. So what this says to me is, imagine that each one of these new realities is like a cut flower, or a flower. Let's call it a flower, like a little tiny plant with one blossom on it. And if we look at all those flowers and we only have enough water to give to one of them, We're going to give the water to one, and it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to become a much larger plant with lots of flowers and life, and it's going to expand, and it's going to make seeds, and it's going to become more and more and more. But the other 9, if they don't get any water, what's going to happen? They're going to die, and they will never come into, they will not continue, right? That's all they will ever be, is that one flower. So that's the idea here, is that they close in upon the now, right? That they will only exist in this current reality as a potential future that never comes to pass. So amazing way of understanding that. But close in upon the now in their own lack of information. So the information is us. We are the information. We are the water that's going to then let those flowers turn into something. And they say, for the deciding is in the turning. In other words, when we turn, when we turn the corner, when we turn around, then we decide. The deciding is in the turning. So as we turn, we make our choice about what the new reality is going to be. When we move from this reality to the next, we will, in that turn, we choose which one we're going to jump into. So it's literally like we are all standing on the edge of the diving board, and we've got 3 places, 3 pools we could jump into, and we choose. And that will be the moment that we decide. And they say the decisions must flow forward from you. Yeah, amazing. All right, next paragraph. And I know I personally think this is a super deep message. I'm amazed by it. I hope you guys are feeling it the same way I do, because I feel like I learned so much in this message. They go on to say, in the potency of several tomorrows. Oh, I love this. This is when they tell us about 3 potential ones. So of the, 10 or whatever, however many there are out there that they can see, they're telling us what 3 of them are, which is what my extra notes are. So here's the 3 potential outcomes, which are currently potentials. We may not create any of these, but these are 3 of the potential realities that are out there for us currently. And they say, in the potency of several tomorrows, you have created a world which justifies itself by truth. And this is one flavor of constancy that riddles the new you. So what that means is, being true to yourself. So imagine a reality, and I'll try to explain like why these 3 are different. So imagine a reality where they say that we are, that the world, living in a world that justifies itself by truth. That would mean that the most important thing in that reality would be being true to ourselves. So that would be like, so I wrote down that would be communicating your truth into the world. So it would really be a world focused on like manifesting what is you into the world, right? And projecting and creating a changing reality. So it would be very much like an energy out projection, like this is my truth, and now I'm going to experience my truth in the world. And it would be and that truth means the true, like a total dialogue of your higher self, and accepting all parts of you, which is what we're trying to get to right now before we cross over to the new reality, accepting all parts of ourself. So that would be one flavor of the new reality, but this idea of this like a focus, an emphasis on manifesting what is our truth and being true to ourselves. And being true to ourselves, think about what that means, is that we currently live in a reality where often the expression of who we are is highly influenced by the people around us. Like how many of you did or made an important choice in your life because you thought it would make someone else love you, right? How many of you like signed up for a college program or took a job or hung out with people that you wouldn't have chosen, except that you felt like if you did, somebody was going to love that somehow you would be better than you actually are, like that than you actually felt about yourself, that you would be, that being something other than you, in other words, what I'm trying to say, would be more approved of or more loved. And I think we've all done that. I've done it. I signed up for like a terrible class in college that I hated and I bombed because it was something I thought I would be more loved if I did it, because somebody who I thought was important told me that they thought it was really cool. And I signed up for this terrible class, and I just did not. It just was like we were like 2 ships in a night that never saw each other. Me in that class. So yeah. So anyways, but that's that idea. So that is the opposite of living our truth. That is the idea where we're living in a culture, in a society that forms us, that creates a lot of who we are, that says, okay, you have to dress this way, or you have to do these things or whatever. It's like, nah, that's not me. This is me. I'm going to have purple hair, and I'm going to do my, dance everywhere I go, or whatever you do, right? That you're going to be you. And it's this super authentic version of you. That's one reality. which sounds amazing to me. I'm like, yes, thank you. I'd love that. I would love to see what all you guys create. I can just see what I create. I would love that. All right. So then the next reality they say that we have on the docket, like bachelor number 2, they say, okay, in another elegance of your expression, there is this is beautiful too, a beautiful form of surrendering, which allows the self to flow in harmony with what is. So what that would mean is a very, very different context for reality. So in this other context of reality, we could be focused on merging and becoming. So imagine being much more in flow with reality. So rather than projecting your truth into the reality and really focusing on manifesting, imagine you come into a space and there's already stuff and you change yourself by merging with it. And you're like, okay, well, here's who I am. And I'm coming across this, whatever beautiful something, and maybe it's a rock, and you find a rock, and that rock has all kinds of properties to it, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to now see what happens when I merge with the rock, and I'm going to feel how these properties how I react to them and how they feel to me, and it's very flowy and blendy, and very much like I'm going to emerge through my experience of feeling what other people feel and feeling how other people are and how other things are. Like I could spend a day just hugging a tree and understanding the presence of treeness and that will change me because now I will have the comprehension of treeness inside of me. It's this blendy, mergy, like see how different that is? Like totally different. And that could be a reality that we are creating. That's a potential that's out there for us. So we could live in that. And then, okay, so then number 3. Number 3 is, the bachelor number 3, in yet a third instance of your incarnating, you come into presence through an obstacle-less environment of present moment, where only your dialogue within the soul can come into focus. So this is also a totally different concept. So imagine this as like being deep in thought or self-exploration. So rather than being focused on projecting, or being in this mergy, blendy thing where you're kind of like, oh, what's out there, and super focused on how you are changed by what's around you, you then are focused instead on having very little external influence, and each of us is having a super personal experience where it's really about understanding, like they said, the dialogue with your own soul, and you're super focused on this dialogue with your soul and having this understanding of yourself in the reality, and how it's almost like picking up things and seeing how does this look on me, and then how do I behave? It's being very it's kind of a contemplating the belly button, contemplating your navel reality, but very much about focusing on your individual experience of your relationship to your higher truth. Right? To your higher self. Very personal experience. So 3 super, super different realities. And they say these are 3 of the possibilities we've created for ourselves. And we might choose one of those 3 or something totally different. So I thought it was amazing that they offered, like it just never occurred to me, how we could have a structure of what is the human experience going to be, that we could have so many different options, right? But it is amazing. Yeah, yours, that you like number 2. I know. I'm kind of voting I like number 1, but number 2 sounds amazing to me too. I love that. Like I'm game. I'm less interested in number 3 I think because I'm a social person. But some of you who are more introverted, you may be like number 3, please. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we make, you guys. We will see. Yeah. All right, so then they go on to say, next paragraph, they say, each of these realities are very real in the context of what is possible and what is positive for yourself. Again, emphasizing all 3 of them are going to be amazing, right? And they say, and yet, each sequential harmonious expression depends upon the realities that form within you. So the sequential expression. So in other words, we have the flower, we have the single flower, but the sequential expression, which would be the next leaf, the next flower, the next anything, can't happen until we get there. Thus, not all can be profoundly settled in the dialogues that are coming. So in other words, they can't really say what happens next until we get there. They are collapsible within a construct that does not yet contain you. So collapsible, in other words, if we don't choose one of those, they will collapse in upon themselves and they will cease to exist. They will no longer be potentials. Yeah, amazing, right? To me, this was very brain expander. Yeah. And then they go on to say, next paragraph, we say that what is forming from inside you for the environment of your own expression, for reality as you will see it, shall come from the presence of all who are received within that experience of living. In other words, everyone that gets there, everyone, all of us that are there together in unity, we are the ones that will dictate. And it's not a conscious choice. It will emerge from inside of us, that we will create it when we get there. And it will come as a shared collective reality that we will create as one being together, as humanity. And they say, it shall be a modicum of your own potential. Modicum means a small quantity of something desirable, a modicum of something. So it's a small piece of you, in other words, and they always use these words so carefully, a small quantity of something desirable, a little tiny bit of your wonderful, beautiful soul, right? So the new reality does not encompass every potential that you contain. You are infinite. You have a billion, gazillion potentials that you could create. This reality will be one little teaspoon of you. And they say, it shall be a modicum of your own potential, a teaspoon of your potential, and you shall expound the call upon this. So you'll take this teaspoon and you will blow it out into an entire reality that we experience for who knows how long, just like the one that we are currently leaving, right? Which is mind-blowing. And this just gives you to show how long we can play this game, that you are full of teaspoons full, right? You could make reality after reality after reality. Like you could do this again and again and again. And each time, hopefully, we raise a little bit our consciousness, raise our consciousness each time. You say, you shall create a dialogue within that context, and your presence shall be magnified within it. So we will take that teaspoon and we will turn it into an entire world, right? Super, super amazing. Okay, they go on to say, as we are held within these contexts of potential future, so the angels and mother of creation talking about themselves, as we are held in the context of these of potential future, we see yourselves in actuality as you shall be. We see you within the potency of these fruitions, and none are better, none are worse, none should be foregone, none should be advised, for your own expression is what serves. So in other words, they're saying there's no advice here. They're not telling us one is better than the other. They're all good. Basically, it's just our expression is what serves, that we will make it good because we will be there. We will turn it into what we are. So it will be great. So, and then they go on to say, next paragraph, should you find peace and will it serve you? In other words, are there certain things that we can count on in the new reality? And the answer is yes. The certain things we can count on are, number one, they say, should you find peace and will it serve you? Yes, we will have peace on earth in the new reality. Should you find the elegance of your own retreat from the dialogues of impassioned certitude and polarity? Certitude is like absolute conviction. So that is referring to like the current reality where we have people so dug in and so angry at one another. And we have increasing war and we have increasing division, right? And they're saying, will we find retreat from that? Will that be over? And they're saying, we say, yes, that will be done. We won't be doing that anymore in the new reality. And they say, and all that shall flow forward shall bring you into a greater harmonious understanding of one another and with the earth. So this is another thing we can count on. And they've told us that we will have this deeper psychic connection to one another and like a hyper expression of empathy, super empathy, where we can feel each other's feelings and we will be able to feel the earth and understand the earth. And they say that is a done deal. That's happening no matter what. So that is phenomenal. And they say, and these truths are serene and experienced within each possible future. Serene is untroubled. In other words, there's no chance that this could be, these things are going to happen in every one, and they're serene, they're untroubled, they're just, it's going to flow, it's easy. These all just happen for us. So that's pretty amazing. Like peace, right? This deep connection to one another, like this connection to the earth, like these are all things they're saying, yep, you got this part. That's why they're saying every reality we have, every potential is beautiful. It's going to be amazing for us. All right, next paragraph. The meaning of self, as it shall come to mean, comes into the span of your own hesitation. Interesting choice of words. In your own hesitation. What shall be brought forward for completion? So this is telling us how we choose. So it's wherever we hesitate in our own expression, right? What shall be brought forward for completion? Where do we feel incomplete? What shall you work with? Where shall you stumble and find your own gaps? So this is kind of like in this life, we figure out where our wounds are by seeing where we're triggered. Whatever triggers us, that's where we stumble. That's where we hesitate, right? That's where our gap is. And that's what we work on. And that then defines our next experience. So this is just like that. What's true in the small is true in the big. So the small is here, our triggers, then become our experience in the new reality wherever we stumble as humans. Like, what is it that we will explore next? Where will we find our gaps? That is what will be created. Here is where you shall become again. And these cannot be chosen for you. They are for the chooser. So in other words, we get to define it. Free will. We get to choose our reality. Next paragraph. And I highlighted this one. I think this is a really important paragraph. You become what is needed most for self, for soul, for all that is. You become a fruition of your own journey, and journey again upon the precipice of knowledge that you have gathered. So in other words, we create each time we go through, and I get the feeling it's like era upon era upon era. We've been going through this era, which is now coming to a close, which we call 3D reality. And now we are going on the precipice of knowledge. In other words, everything we've learned about ourselves so far, that forms the basis of, like, everything we've gathered, everything we've learned about ourselves. From that we call to us, and this is amazing. Okay, so upon the precipice of knowledge that you have gathered, and then they say, you call to you what is potential, what is matter, what is constancy, to form a world around you. So these are the three things that we are using. This was again, I'm learning so much excuse me, with this message. You call to you what is potential, what is matter, what is constancy. These are like this is the recipe for reality creation. And it is formed upon the precipice of knowledge that you have gathered. So everything we've learned about us thus far forms the foundation. That is like the edge of the wave that we are surfing as we are moving into the new reality, creating a reality from inside of us. That is formed by everything we have learned in our past experience, everything we are bringing forward, which is our concept of who we are, the knowledge of what we've gathered by the crazy karmic experiences we've been moving through. And we use the three elements, which are potential, matter, and constancy. So, and the potential is formed from us. The potential is formed from where are we expending ideas, thoughts, creative power, our creative ideas. Like, what are we thinking about as creating potentials, thought form, moving out into the future? What are we in resonance with? What are we imagining, dreaming, wishing, all of that? And then, so that is the creating these different potentials. These are things that we could create. And then what is matter is going to be, okay, whichever one we decide on, matter is the physical stuff that's going to then become that, right? And what is constancy? Constancy is going to be us continually resonating at that frequency, generating it and long enough for it to come into form. Wild, right? Totally wild to have it broken. It sounds so simple when they say it, but if somebody had given me this assignment, said, hey, come up with a description of how realities are formed, I would have been like, I don't know. Like, and it's so beautifully clear. It's so clear. Potent, potential, matter, and constancy. How amazing is that, you guys? Just amazing. I mean, I just love the simplicity that they're able to bring it down to a level where I have a chance of getting my head around it. Yeah. And within it, you shall become what is. So cool. Wow. Okay, then they go on to say, separation has been your journey. So this is the old era that we're leaving. They say separation has been the solidity of matter until now. This is what has been the characteristic most explored within these frequencies within which you have lived. So that's what we've been doing. We've been living in a world where what we were emanating with constancy, where our potential lied, and what the matter was forming to was this concept of separation, of moving apart from one another, right? And they say, and it's been the characteristic most explored within these frequencies within which you have lived. You are now moving beyond this into a frequency not yet determined. So, and that is the options that we have in front of us. Amazing. And then I love this part. They say, but for you, all has gathered to witness. All has come to become with you. So what they're saying is all of reality is going to conform to whatever it is we need. And I love that they emphasize, but for you, they say it twice. Like, this is really, really trying to express their love for us, but also the love that holds us in this whole universe. That the universe, that we are not on this journey by ourselves, that everything is living, all of matter is living, and all of it is conforming, is to witness. So we are the creators, and everything is here to witness and become part of what we are creating, right? And that is love, right? Amazing. All has come to become with you. All will make itself renewed through you. So everything's going to come into a new form in a new way because we are the creators creating a new reality, and they are coming with us. All will become again within the certitude of your own formation. So remember, certitude is that idea of unquestioned. So once we define, once we choose, certitude is choosing. In other words, we're not like saying we're going to create this reality. Oh, but maybe we should have created some of that reality too. It's like, nope, we will choose. It will be certain. Once it's certain, then everything will form up around it. All of reality, the all that is, will form up around it and become solid, and it will become a reality. Right? When we choose meanings, we give up all of our alternatives, we get rid of all the other flowers. This is it. All our energy is here. Then boom, reality forms. Yeah. And the world will be born into the structure of union that is most needed for yourselves. So all of reality is helping us in a way that is most needed for us. All right, next, and I love the beginning of this paragraph. They say, we wish, this is super important because they're telling us what the advice that they would give to us. They're saying, we wish for you to hold in the heat of this environment, in the choosing time, the sense of yourselves is limitless. So this is, they're saying something that will help us as we go through this process of choosing which flower, is to hold in our thoughts the idea that we are limitless, that we have infinite potential, that there's nothing holding us back. And they say, in the heat of this environment, in the choosing time is which path do we go on? Think of ourselves as limitless. The potency of your dialogue within your soul must take precedence. Draw to yourself that intuitive guide, the sense of your own knowledge as presence. Become in tune with what moves through you. This is your guide. This is and shall ever be your own matter. So, in other words, this idea of being limitless is tapping into our higher selves, into the fullness of our potential as a soul. And listening to that and believing in that. And they say, draw to yourself that intuitive guide. So the sense of your own knowledge as presence. Come in tune with what moves through you, which is your higher self, which is that energy of living, right? It's divine energy, source energy that moves through you, through your higher self. All right. And they said, this is and shall ever be your own matter. And so that's a key thought. And here's, they say, what's the risk of not doing that? They say, what is the formation within you? Oh no, here they say, what is the formation within you? It is your soul you can trust. They're describing like, why do we trust this? What is this thing they're talking about? It is your soul you can trust. Bringing this dialogue into presence shall be what conforms a reality into the frequency of what is above, what is more, what is without hesitation. So what that means is, so what is above, what is more, what is without hesitation is a description of like source, of God, of higher perspective. So how do we make our reality in the image of the divine? How do we create heaven on earth, right? Is what they're saying here, of what is above, what is more, what is without hesitation, which means there's no part of us that is limited. They say that the way that we do that is by bringing in the dialogue with our higher self into presence. By bringing the more of our soul we bring through, the more of heaven on earth we will create, is what they're telling us in this paragraph. What is the formation within you? It is your soul you can trust. Bringing this into dialogue into presence shall be what conforms a reality into the frequency of what is above, what is more, what is without hesitation, right? What is God? So cool. Next paragraph. The constancy of your inner union is formed within the dialogue of expression that heralds your own internal truth. So this is talking about bringing all aspects of ourself into union and accepting all parts of ourself. This is the work of soul convergence that you guys, many of you have done. The agreement between all parts of self within you. And in the space of that communion, the elegance of your own internal, uninterrupted communion with self can begin. And this shall herald in the new foray of existence. So there's two things happening here, which is that they say that this internal, uninterrupted communion with self. So we know that when we go through the shift in consciousness, that we will separate from our current body. Like there will be a period where we feel our bodies, like as the flash of light comes, we will feel our bodies get heavy, and we're meant to lay down when that happens. And then what happens is we are separating from our karma, and it will feel like weight, literally, that we are lifting off from and leaving behind. And that's part of the plan. We're meant to leave it behind. We're not supposed to have pain and suffering in the same way in the new reality. We leave it here. Yay! And but when we do, the main reason we've been going through all this is to have knowledge, is to learn more about ourselves. And the more we learn about ourselves, the greater the dialogue we can have with our higher self. So we have two ways of opening to our higher self. One is what we've been exploring, which has been this experience of being closed off, of being in resistance to who we are. That's what we've been living in: separation, polarity, where we are polarized against what we are, where we say, I don't like that part of myself, or I wish I hadn't experienced that terrible trauma, or I wish I didn't have those memories, or I wish I hadn't said these things. Those are all truths about us, part of our experience that we are trying to deny. And when we deny them, we put a blockade inside of us, and it prevents that space is then filled. Nothing can get in it. And so as we accept those parts of ourself, we remove the blockade and more of our higher self can come in. So that is one way we experience more of our higher self. And that is sort of like, what is the vessel? How open is the vessel? Then there's the second piece of how we can connect more with our higher self. And that is the size of the pipe, right? How big of an internet connection do you have? Are you still on dial-up, or are you on broadband? Like, what do you have here? What is the hardware going on here? And the way that we increase the hardware, the way that we increase our connection, is by learning more about ourself. And this is really about human consciousness and how it's structured. So we talked about this last week, which was so interesting. This idea, and the angels talked about it last week, this idea about what is our limitation? Our limitation is what we can imagine is possible for us. What do we think a human can be? And we talked about last week about how if we have an understanding of humans, like in the Olympics, the image the angels gave me very specifically was the Olympics. And they showed me that that we will have a world record, and there will be a world record holder that will hold like the fastest sprinter in the world, runner, swimmer, whatever it is. And that will hold for like 20 years, and everyone will be like, that is the peak of human performance. No one can run past that. No one can be that fast until someone breaks it. And the minute someone breaks it, then magically all these other people break it too. And so it's this crazy idea that the only reason that humans, all of us collectively, we had a cap, we put a limit. Was that limit real? No, it wasn't. It was just our concept of what was real. And as soon as it was shattered, we realized, wow, well, if he could do it, I could do it too. And then a bunch of people do it. And so this is the other part about how we increase our connection is the more that we go through, the more we understand about ourselves, the more vast we become in terms of our knowledge of who we are. The more we know about ourselves, the broader our connection becomes. It's like we have the capacity to understand ourself, our higher self, at a much deeper level. And so think about this just in your own life. Use your life as an example. If you think about yourself when you were like an early teen, and imagine what your concept was of love at that age, or what your concept was, of what life was going to be like, what it was like. Imagine what you thought of old people. Like, think of the age you are now and what you thought of that age when you were 14 and how limited that understanding was, how you really did not get the depth of what the experience is. You couldn't. You had no concept of like that, like I have found every year I get older, I'm like, I'm loving this year. Like, it's better. Every year is better than the previous year. And I would have never understood that when I was a kid. I always thought, 14, this is it. I'm the bum, I'm cool. I'm 14, and now we have just much more context, much more understanding. So the richness, the depth of our experience is much, much more than it could have been at age 14. So that is an understanding we can have about the way we relate to our soul. So when we have this more limited understanding, right, it's that sort of 14-year-old perspective. We can only allow a little bit of our soul in because we just won't allow ourselves to see the rest yet. We just don't have the depth of experience, the knowledge that we need to get it. And then as we do more work on ourselves and we experience and we get into life and we dig in and we go through the sorrow and the grief and whatever it is that we go through and the love and the, whatever, then that pipe gets bigger and bigger and more comes in. So this is what they're talking about here, right? And the important thing to remember is that when we go in through the flash of light, the opportunity to expand, to increase this goes away. That we are in the process right now. This is the crunch time where we are trying our best to learn as much from the karmic experience as we possibly can in order to increase our bandwidth, in order to get a bigger connection to the divine, to learn more, to understand ourselves deeper, to get a broader perspective on who we are as a soul, which you can do in the karmic experience incredibly well because we are confronted with ourselves. It is the easiest place to see ourselves. So that's the work of what we're doing right now. And we get this work all the way through up until we separate from our karma. And I describe it as we are currently in the school of earth. It's like we have a textbook, and the textbook is like all the things we can learn about our higher self. And we are reading that book as fast as we can, trying to cram. This is the cram. Like literally, we are heading up to the exam and we are cramming right now, trying to take in as much as we can. And by take in, I mean we allow the things we don't want to see to come forward and for us to experience and let those emotions move through us so that we can integrate them to our core and allow ourselves to be. And as we do that, we understand ourselves more deeply. So we're doing that as fast as we can. When the moment comes and the light comes and we shift, we will leave. It's not like we have to leave the book here, which is great because it's been really a hard book, but we only get to take whatever knowledge we've gained. And that knowledge dictates the how big our bandwidth is going to be to our higher self. And the bigger our bandwidth is, the more heaven on earth we can create. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's the two. It is how open is the vessel and how broad is the connection. Wow, right? So I'm learning so much, you guys. I'm learning so much with all of these messages they give us. Yeah. So, and so that's why, in a nutshell, that's why we want to do everything we can to heal right now. And then when we go into this experience, we want to focus on our connection, focus on that connection and think of ourselves as limitless. Like, and then here is where they say the next piece of that. Where is it? Blah, blah, blah. Let me get on here. Okay. So this is the part, but upon the concentration of disfigurement, which has been your nature, you can become distracted again. So in other words, they're saying we have a habit of focusing on what's wrong. So disfigurement is to impair or deface by deep and persistent injuries. So in other words, focusing on what is wrong, looking for problems, like that is the human nature. We have a tendency to see what's missing, where the problems are, rather than savoring our reality, right? Rather than looking for everything amazing about it, we have a tendency to pick things apart and see what's wrong. And so they're saying, but upon the concentration of disfigurement about what? About ourselves, about us, about our own self. We are used to picking ourselves apart. And they say, which has been your nature, you can become distracted again. So rather than creating a beautiful new reality, there is the potential that we get to the new reality and we start picking ourselves apart again. And they say, don't create that. They say, but fear nothing, fear nothing. You say, you will not be lost. So there's a potential we could do that, but we will not be lost. So there's no chance we can move back to the old vibration. But they still don't want us to do it. But they say all you got to do is say to the self, say to the soul, I am presence within. Focus on the inner self. Focus because you won't have that karma anymore. It's just a habit. Habits are hard to break. So you won't have anything for it to stick to. You just got to remember, wait a minute, that's not me. Focus. Oh my gosh, look how divine and wonderful I am. I am presence within, right? And be guided once more into your own intuitive knowledge. Find your heart and within it the gateway which draws you upward into the voice of your own spoken soul. And here your dialogue shall begin. So they're just kind of letting us know, like, hey, you guys have this habit. Be aware. If that happens, you know what to do. Come back to yourself. Come back to your connection. Remember, you are limitless. You are divine. They go on to say, last paragraph, they say, you have been in a fettered existence within which the inner turmoil into which you were drawn came as a result of your separation from what is love with self. So fettered means restrained by chains. What a perfect choice of words. Chains are like a symbol for karma. So we have been restrained by chains. We've been restrained by karma, right? And then not only that, to be fettered means restrained so severely that progress is almost lost. That's how bad it's been, the karmic world, where it's been a thing where you can go through a life. Some people will go through a life and they will be so severely restricted by their karma that they literally will never escape the cycle. They'll just have to come back and live the same scenario again and again and again. And we know that sometimes there'll be people who just live, and it's happened to us. It's happened to me. It's happened to everyone. The same pattern again and again and again, right? Fettered existence, chained to our karma. You have been in a fettered existence within which the inner turmoil into which you were drawn came as a result of your separation from what is love with self. So that has been the whole experience. It's been an experience of separation, separated from what? From our love of ourself. In the new world, in the new earth, your soul becomes again through you. In other words, we will have this connection again. And this shall change what is you, this shall change what is as you become unbound from the forces which have bound you into separation. So if they're saying it, it's going to happen no matter what, that we will be unbound from the forces which put us into separation. And we are moving into a higher state of consciousness. Like, wow, you guys, like, did you guys have a title for this one? Like, anybody, anyone? Because to me, I think I'm still grappling with everything in it. To me, there was so much in it that my brain is exploding still. And I don't have a name yet. I'm still trying to come up with one. Yeah. All right, you guys, have a fabulous weekend. Don't forget, if you are in peace bathing, we had to change the day this month because I was supposed to be on that trip and I canceled it. Anyways, long story, but so it is this Sunday. So don't forget, please, if you are in peace bathing, come and join us this Sunday, usual time at 10 a.m. And you guys will have the link in your inbox. If you would like to join us, it's not too late. Peace bathing, as I mentioned, is it is a once a month beautiful healing session with the angels where they bring us up into the frequency of peace. It helps us to acclimate to the new energies that are coming. The messages are powerful and beautiful that come through in these healing sessions. So if you do not yet have your own regular healing practice, this is a great way to go. So anyway, those of you who would like to join, or those of you who are members, I will see you on Sunday. And for everyone else, I will see you, sending you tons of love until next Friday for Friday Live. Have a great weekend, you guys. Bye-bye.